Happy Friday, friends. It's Friday. And you know what's exciting about today? It's the day before the SoCal Men's Conference tomorrow. Oh man, pray, pray, pray. We are anticipating a great outpouring of the Spirit of God on the men of Southern California. You know, in light of so many things that have happened in recent weeks, I see the need for men to come together, to rally, to pray, to worship. And I pray that you can join us. If you're a brother here watching this, that you can come and be a part of what we're doing there at the Anaheim Convention Center. It's a free event, and we don't charge you anything. We encourage you just to come out and be a part of it and see what the Lord might do in the lives of the men. And so be praying for us about that. You know, today we pick up in the book of Acts, still in this chapter 7. This sermon of Stephen, I can't even say it, Stephen is powerful as he is just really driving home the point that God raised up leaders in the history of the nation of Israel that they rejected, that they would not listen to, that they did not receive. And the one that we're considering at this moment is Moses. And it says concerning Moses, now picking up in verse 37, it says, "This is that Moses who said to the children of Israel, 'The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brethren. Him you shall hear.' This is he who was in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel who spoke to him on Mount Sinai with our fathers, the one who received the living oracles to give to us," speaking of the commandments, "whom our fathers would not obey, but rejected. And in their hearts they turned back to Egypt, saying to Aaron, 'Make us gods to go before us. As for this Moses who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him.'" You know, when Moses eventually led the people out into the wilderness, God was providing for them everything that they needed, manna from heaven, water from a rock to drink, and just taking care of them. But it didn't take long for the people to complain. By the way, it was only supposed to be a very short stop at Mount Sinai before they went into the promised land. I mean, just a brief, temporary stop along the way. So Moses goes up to Mount Sinai, and there he's going to receive the commandments from God. So as he's making his way up there, he's up there for a while, and people don't know what's happened. They're getting a little impatient. Meanwhile, he left his brother Aaron in charge down below. And the people said, "Hey, listen, we don't know what happened to Moses. Can you do us a favor? Make us a god, at least that we can worship, so we can bow down to it." And so it says that the people brought all of their gold earrings and gave them to Aaron, and he put them in the fire, and he made a golden calf. And he said, "Here is basically a representation of the God that brought you out of the land of Egypt." And the people began to worship it in some of the perverse ways. And in addition to that, some of the people there, although they were taken out of Egypt, Egypt was still in their heart. Isn't that crazy to think that they wanted to go back to Egypt? There are people saying, "We should just go back. Man, we miss all the onions and the garlic. Man, we had such flavor and spice when we were in Egypt. It was so amazing." Yeah, and you were also slaves. Like, did you forget what it's about? Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting how the devil tries to make the past look like it was so great? Oh man, it was so awesome. Remember how much freedom you had? Remember how much joy you had? Remember when you used to throw up on the side of the road because you were so wasted? Remember how great that? No, it never brings up the bad parts. Never brings up the broken heart, never brings up the emptiness and the loneliness or just the absolute shame that you felt. Just the things that you might think were enjoyable. Hey, listen, sin is pleasurable for a season, but friend, do not go back to Egypt. Do not go back to Egypt. So the people start dancing around this golden calf. They think it's a great time. And meanwhile, Moses is up there and the Lord tells Moses, "Hey, you need to get down from the hill. Your people," the Lord calls them your people. Your people, they're doing some things that aren't good to do. And Moses comes running down the hill. And Joshua says to him, "Hey, Moses, I think there's a sound of war in the camp." Moses said, "That's not war in the camp." And he comes down with the 10 commandments in hand, and he sees all the people dancing around the golden calf. And you know what he did? He took the 10 commandments in anger, and he threw them down and shattered them, broke the commandments that were wrote by the finger of God. You know, someone said that Moses was the one person that broke all the 10 commandments at one time. Literally. Oh, okay, it's a joke. But anyways, he broke the 10 commandments. And then he took that golden calf, ground it into powder, put it in water, and made the people drink it. And then he called them to a decision. If you're going to serve God, come on this side. If you're going to serve these idols like this golden calf, then go on that side. Who's on the Lord's side? And there were some that decided against the Lord and others who decided for the Lord. It was a radical day that day. Just fresh out of Egypt. And now already thinking about going back to it. Well, the Bible tells us here as we continue in this story, it says they didn't obey. They rejected what was said. Now in verse 40, they asked Aaron, again, we read that, to make gods for them that they might worship. In verse 41, it says, and they made a calf in those days, offered sacrifices to the idol, rejoiced in the work of their own hands. And then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. Did you offer me slaughtered animals and sacrifices during the 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? You also took up the tabernacle of Molech, and the star of your god Remphan, images which you made to worship, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Oh, wow. So here the Lord's just reminding the people of what they had got involved with, quoting out of the Old Testament, the idolatrous worship. How quickly they forgot all that God did to deliver them. How quickly they forgot the bondage that had been broken, and suddenly they turned their back on God. In verse 44, our fathers, here now he's kind of making an application here for the nation of Israel. Listen to this. Stephen says, our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness, as he, that is God, appointed, instructing Moses to make it according to the pattern that he had seen, which our fathers received it in turn, and they brought with Joshua into the land possessed by the Gentiles, whom God drove out from before the face of our fathers to the days of David. So now he goes remember he went from Joseph to Moses, now he's going from Moses to Joshua, from Joshua to David. All specific leaders that God raised up for the nation. And even mentions the fact that God built them a tabernacle in the wilderness. Now remember that tabernacle? It was that tent of meeting where God allowed a place where people could come and worship him. Sacrifices would be offered. The glory of God descended over that tabernacle, and people could have their sins atoned for, and there was a sacrificial system that was put in place. All of this was part of God's plan. But eventually it goes from Joshua to David. Joshua leads the people. Moses brought them to the edge of the promised land, but he couldn't take them in to the promised land. And that is why God raised up Joshua in his place. And Joshua, you remember, led the people, again, great book. He's summarizing, you could summarize the entire book of Joshua, but he led them across the Jordan River and into the promised land where they had battle after battle, but they were able to secure the territory, come out of the wilderness and into the promised land. You know, when we think about coming out of the wilderness into the promised land, it's really coming into a victorious Christian life. No longer wandering around in the wilderness, but entering into what God has for us. Folks, my prayer for you today, this weekend, is that you would enter into that victorious Christian life. Come out of the wilderness and into the promised land, being led by our greater than Joshua, Jesus. God bless you, and we'll see you on Monday.